One way to save money on birthdays is to make your own cake. Today I'm going to try to make the Barbie cake, where the Barbie comes out of the skirt and the skirt is actually the cake. I found a video online that explained how to do it, and it looked really easy, but I'm going to figure out if it's actually easy to someone who is not a professional cake decorator. The first step is to frost your cake with what's called a crumb coat. So I'm going to take my buttercream frosting that I made, and the recipe's on the website, and frost the bottom layer, which is just an 8-inch cake with a hole cut out of the middle for the Barbie to go in. This part will not be seen, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I've added my second 8-inch round layer to my cake, and now I'm going to frost that. I actually put this in the freezer for a little bit because I had to cut the top off to make it even. And if you put your cake in the freezer, it freezes all those little crumbs on the cake, and so it doesn't come up as much with your frosting. The purpose of a crumb coat, which I didn't know until I saw it on the video, is to kind of seal in all the crumbs so that when you have your final coat of frosting, it looks much more professional and you don't have a lot of crumbs showing through. I've now added my final layer, which is actually a cake baked in a Pyrex bowl, and then you just flip it over, and I've cut a hole on the top of that for the doll to go in. If you notice, I have some parchment paper laying around the edge of my cake. That is actually to protect the plate from getting covered in frosting. It's another tip on the video. We'll see if it works. So now I'm just going to frost the entire outside of the cake with my crumb coat. Our crumb coat is now finished. We've covered the entire outside of the cake with the frosting, and what we're going to do now is put it in the freezer for about 45 minutes so that the frosting gets nice and cold and hard, and we can then come back and do our final coat of frosting. I'm now going to frost the top layer of the cake. I realize the frosting is lighter. I didn't really like the lower or the under layer. I thought it was a little too much like Pepto-Bismol. One of the techniques I saw in the cake decorating video was to use a piece of paper to smooth out your frosting. I've never tried this before, so let's see if it really works. That's pretty amazing, it works. It actually makes a very nice, smooth layer around your cake. I'm actually quite shocked this is working. I didn't think it was going to work. So, that's pretty impressive. This is just a piece of paper that you put in your printer. So, that's pretty cool. So now I am pretty much finished with the dress. I think it's time to put Barbie in. We had a little problem with our cake in that the Barbie was too tall for the cake. So we tried all of the Barbies, of which they were all too tall. So then we tried to remove the legs from the Barbie, which we ended up breaking the Barbie, which is fine for now. So then I ended up, since the Barbie was too tall, I had a huge gap in the center of my cake where the Barbie's leg should have gone. So we ended up putting a small glass jar inside the cake and then sticking Barbie in, and then shoving some cake crumbs around her, which I am now trying to cover up with a star tip. I now have the Barbie, who has been covered in saran wrap, And she's been put in the cake, and now I'm going to give her a dress using the small star tip. I'm now going to add the finishing touches. I'm going to pull out the parchment paper, or attempt to pull out the parchment paper, I guess. Maybe I should have pulled this out before I froze it. So my daughter wanted a pink and purple cake, so I'm just going to take my star tip, a little bit bigger than the one that I used for the dress, and just add some designs on the skirt of Barbie. I am putting the finishing touches on the cake. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. All in all, it took me about 2.5 hours, and that included trying to figure out how to put the Barbie in and pulling legs off and everything else that we had to do to work that out. The video was right. It wasn't that hard, and I'm really happy with it. So you can see more tips and more do-it-yourself projects at my website, happyhousewife.com.